Hi. Today, I have with me here our newest book, It's Time to Feel Better, How Befriending Your Emotions Can Heal Your Life by Sanchez and the Bible Nerds. I'm going to bring it closer here so that you can see it. There you go. This book, as is mentioned by the title, is all about our emotions. How we experience our emotions, how we can understand our emotions better, and basically how we can live with our emotions. Because whether we like it or not, our emotions are here to stay. If you didn't know yet, I am a member of this group called the Bible Nerds. We are a small group of writers, researchers who help Brother Sanchez in writing the talks that we give weekly at The Feast, a spiritual community that I am a part of. If you head toward the end of the book, you'll find the members of the Bible Nerds. We are all here. Here we are with our descriptions and photos. This is the fourth book that we have written together. Our first three books are more explicitly biblical. Say, the first book that we wrote is all about Genesis, the second book is about Exodus, and the third book is about Leviticus. This is the first book that we wrote together that is more topical. That is to say, instead of being based on a Bible book, it is based on a topic. But of course, since, given the nature of the feast, the lens by which we approach this subject is from the lens of our faith. Kaya kasama rin yun. Hindi naman yun hiwalay. To put it another way, this book is not so secular. We worked on this topic when we gave a series on it, a talk series on it at The Feast. I believe that was an 8-part talk series where in every talk, we tackled one emotion. Basic emotions like shame, jealousy, sadness, and so on. During that time, I volunteered to take on the topics of anger and sadness. Now, whatever you think my choice of topics reveal about me, that's for you to decide. But that is why in the sections containing anger, for example, you'll find my name right here. And you'll find the same in sadness. Unlike the talk series, this book is formatted or structured differently. It has 31 chapters and 5 sections. The first section is about shame and guilt. Section 2 is about fear and worry. Section 3 is about anger and impatience. Section 4 is about sadness and despair. And Section 5 is about jealousy and envy. Speaking of jealousy and envy, my friends, Brother Mike Viñas and Brother Veldon Lim, have recently published episodes on jealousy and envy on their channel. I'm gonna put it out here for you to visit as well. I figured that in light of this new book, this is an opportunity for me to get to talk to you about emotions, at least from a broad perspective. We're not gonna get into the specifics yet. I just want to offer a little bit of insight that can be helpful with us relating with our emotions better. This is something that I need to remind myself of as well, constantly. As I mentioned a while ago, whether we like it or not, our emotions are here to stay. It is a part of how we were created. It is a part of our design. God made us feeling, diba? With feelings. God created us with emotions. But the problem is that many times, because we do not understand our emotions, we can have a very big problem with how we relate with our emotions. Particularly, there are two extremes that we need to be mindful of. The first extreme is the extreme of denial, when we deny our emotions or pretend that they don't exist. Too often, this can be because we are tired of experiencing that emotion. It could be a painful emotion, and because it is painful, we get sick of it, we get tired of it, and we'd rather pretend that it doesn't exist. It could also be some form of defense mechanism. Because we have been hurt in the past, we'd rather, again, pretend that our emotions do not exist rather than persisting in feeling sad, in feeling down. When we deny our emotions, we choose indifference. Because when we do not care, we do not feel. And when we do not feel, we think we're less volatile. We think we're less hurt. We think we're less vulnerable. And so what tends to happen is instead of expressing our emotions in a healthy way, what ends up happening is we repress our emotions. We stuff it, we pack it, and we pretend it's not there even though it's bursting out. And that kind of perspective, that kind of approach can make us very bitter very fast. So that's the one extreme, denial. The other extreme is the opposite. When we allow our emotions to dictate our actions. So those are two D's to help us remember it. Denial and dictation. And how does this happen? This happens oftentimes when we have intense emotions. And from the intensity of our emotions, nadadala tayo. We get carried away. Like for example, when you are extremely attracted to a person who is already taken, who is already married, or maybe you are already married, and the intensity of the emotion just makes you feel like going on ahead with something that you know is wrong, well, we tend to blame our emotions, diba? The reason why I did this is because this, that, and the other, even though we know that it is wrong. This could also happen in states of anger when we get too angry about something or with someone. Out of our anger, what happens? We tend to say or do things that we would not have said or done otherwise. And then we regret it after. Or if we don't regret it, we try to justify it. Diba? The only reason why I did this is because of that, or because I felt this way, and this, that, and the other. And so again, those are the two extremes, diba? We deny our emotions or we allow our emotions to dictate our actions. And if you notice, those two extremes are not exclusive to one another. We can experience both of them at different times. In fact, we can ping pong with those two extremes. Sometimes when we repress our emotions too much and we explode, we jump from denial to allowing our emotions to dictate our actions. Or it could be the opposite, because there was at one point of time when our emotions led us to things that we ended up regretting later on. We'd rather deny our emotions because we don't want to fall for that again. Again, those are both extremes and those are both unhealthy. But what is the proper relationship that we ought to have with our emotions? Well, first, it begins with understanding what our emotions are there for. Our emotions are not meant to be an inconvenience that we ought to deny, and it is not meant to dictate our actions. Our emotions are signals. It helps us understand the things that we cannot see, specifically the things that are happening inside of ourselves, in our hearts and our minds, because these are not things that we can understand visually. It's not like we can look within ourselves. But that is the thing that I think that we say, diba? We say, look within yourself. What do we mean by that? When we say that, what we mean is consult. Consult your emotions. Consult your values. And that is a big part of what our emotions signal to us. It signals to us what is happening inside of us. And it signals to us our values. What matters to us. That is why when we're dealing with the things that matter deeply to us, those are the things that make us most emotional. We get extremely happy when something good happens to someone that we care about, or when something good happens to ourselves. We get extremely sad when something bad happens to some person that we care about, or when something bad happens to ourselves. It reveals to us, our emotions reveal to us a part of what we care about, a part of what we value in life. It also reveals to us our perspectives, because the same trigger can make one person happy and another person sad, or one person angry and another person just, meh, okay lang. Why is there a difference in how we experience these things emotionally? Because we have different perspectives on the matter. We care about different things, or we interpret what is happening, the same thing that is happening in front of us, in different ways. And so our emotions can serve as tools for us to understand what is happening within ourselves, which we cannot see with our physical eyes. With that said, what is the connection between emotion and decision making? Yes, it is true that we should not allow our emotions to dictate our actions. A good practice would be, do not decide when you are too emotionally high or when you are too emotionally low, because your decision making is compromised. It is also true, however, on the opposite side, that it's not as if our emotions should have nothing to do with our actions, because kasama talaga siya. It is a part of it. And so a healthy behavior is, instead of denying our emotions or allowing our emotions to dictate our actions, we have the third D, which is to discern. We use our emotions to discern what we value, to discern our perspective, to discern if there is something about how we're looking at things that we're supposed to correct, or perhaps there's something about what is happening that is revealing something about the way that we perceive it, or the things that we value in our lives very deeply. We use those to discern what is happening within us, and having been informed of what is happening within us, then we can decide on what the best next steps would be. Sometimes you will have to choose something that will make you happy directly. Other times, you will have to choose something that perhaps will make you sad, especially sad in the short term, because you know that it is what is good for you in the long term. But you cannot simply bypass your emotions, nor can you ride along with your emotions without thought. And so that's one way that we can begin to heal our relationship with our emotions. We understand, we honor our emotions, and we allow ourselves to experience our emotions, but we do not deny it and we do not let it dictate us. The decision making, dapat sinasama natin si Lord dyan, di ba? We bring it into prayer. There are plenty of scripture on God's people coming to Him with their emotions, happy, sad, angry, mad, and so on and so forth. That is not a bad thing. You can come to God with all of your emotions, and He can handle it because He's bigger than all of them. And it is when we come to God in full honesty and humility, in prayer, bringing everything that we have in our hearts and allowing Him to speak to us. It is there that we can allow our values and our will and our decision making to be aligned with His. Don't deny your emotions. Don't allow it to dictate your actions. Rather, use it to discern your values, discern your perspective, so that you can decide with wisdom. But for you to do all of that, of course, you've got to experience it first. And so, yeah, if you'd like a copy of this book, I'll be putting a link to it so that you can get a copy for yourself. I am excited for the things that we'll be doing together going forward also. I'll keep you updated on some of those things also. Whatever you think of this episode, you can comment below your thoughts, your insights, your questions, your stories, and so on. That would be super great. And I'll see you in our next video. Bye.